Hello, it's me, Fidiscus and I'm here to announce the contestants for the Mixed Base Open Map Jam. However, before I do that, I would like to give a big thanks to everyone who entered the Map Jam personally. So, I'll do that. Thank you, Lulink, Rush FTK, Lost and Found, Blade of Light, LeBlanc, Sonia the Superior, aka Master of Math, Raider El Caro Man, Starflash 250, Shecky, also known as Shecky VGM, Uncle Gubsy, or Steve, Fridge Tourist, Wikito, Insert Joke Here, Zacnate, Fika Monster, and Elise. I really appreciate all of you guys to take time to fill out the application and enter Map Jam. I'm going to be showing off all of the maps I received for Map Jam, and I'm going to go over the previews of maps that should be in the jam. We're going to do both of those things in this video. But I really do want to thank all 16 of you very much from the bottom of my heart for entering. It really means a lot to me that you guys are all trying to develop new ideas that I'll be able to use in later Mixed Space Open tournaments, which there will be. So, without further ado, I will tell you the winners of Map Jam selection. It's Steve, Lost and Found, Elise, Starflash 250, and Rush FTK. So, from them, I have maps from Elise, Starflash 250, and Rush FTK. Lost and Found sent me a couple of prototypes, but hasn't confirmed anything yet. And Steve was, I think, the last person, or next to last person, to enter. No, Elise was the last person to enter. Steve didn't have anything selected, but Steve has created competitive high funds and fog maps, and I wanted to see his take on a mixed base map. So, we'll get to the previews. I'm going to show a preview for Lost and Found's work. If you don't know Lost and Found, Jake Man in the Discord, if you've played on one of his maps, you just don't realize it yet. If you've ever played a Z game, it was probably on his map, because I think that he's made about half the maps that exist. As you know, there are only 6 Advance Wars players, and all of them are map alts of Lost and Found. So, we'll get to the map previews. We'll start looking at those. Hello. So, this is Starflash 250's map, and you know, playing with these weird ideas is just something that I love. So, what Starflash 250 wanted to do was have a map with pre-deployed pipe runners and some artillery that exists. So, it's super interesting what's going on here. Let me turn on this mouse so that we can look at the mouse while I'm... Usually I have like the Advance Wars cursor. Can we see this? Hello? Capture cursor is on. There we go. So yeah. He's got these bases trapped in these pipes, right? And vehicles can't get out until you get through this black boat and this artillery that your opponent has. You can move outside with infantry or mechs, so that's like a potential strategy to try to fix that. You got these central labs, not HQs. And you have these cities that provide income that are protected by these pipe runners, as are these command towers. And you have central command towers as well. There's a lot going on in this map. It looks super chaotic. I want to see people try to play on this. I want to see what Starflash is able to do with it. So that's something we'll be able to see. Next map, Tiebreaker from Rush FTK. So, this map is massive, and there's also a lot going on here. There's 2 pre-deployed B-copters per player. So, the B-copters are going to have to get their way out. They can choose which way they want to leave. But, the infantry... There's some gimmick on the infantry that I don't even remember. The infantry get to shoot at this thing as well. You get the you get the idea that there's a lot going on here. The only thing that makes me nervous about this map is this very, very central airport. But Rush FTK has made a bunch of really weird maps. This is looking really weird. I'm not doing the gimmick justice because I just got back from the North Carolina State Fair, which was fantastic. I'm exhausted, but I needed to get this video out, so forgive me for anything that I'm missing on this map. You got a bunch of pre-deployed landers. There's just so much going on here. These chaotic maps, stuff like this, is I've got a real weakness for. And maybe not the best for our tournament players, but, you know, they'll have to eat that, I guess. What do we have next? Mobocracy Madness by Elise. So, this is maybe looking a little bit familiar, because this is a mini version of Sacks of Terror, which is hilarious. You have the outside airports, you've got the inside roads and the lakes. It's a cute little miniature version of Sacks of Terror, and who couldn't say no to a gimmick like that? Yeah, I said what I said. So we'll get into the other submissions. Here's one from Lulink called Mixed Seaside Mountainside. The mixed bases are far to the side. I like this because it has vertical symmetry. It's kind of a rare map format to see. You don't see a whole lot of symmetry like that. Yeah, both sides have a pre-deployed lander to get to the bases here a little bit faster. But indeed mixed, kind of creating some interesting fronts. I think that a base trade here is maybe likely. Maybe not. I don't know. The center command tower is a little strange, and it's also protected by artillery, which is pretty funny. Maybe it's better to just ignore this in practicality, but definitely some interesting stuff going on here from Lulink. Once again, really appreciate your entry. Here's Blade of Light entry, A Dream of Spring. This was a high funds map, and I know that I was pretty clear about it being a standard tournament. Blade of Light might have been one to suggest a map that, yeah, I'm not even sure that this is mixed base, which is what's really interesting. It's tagged mixed base, but I'm not really confident that it is. Because the bases are all on the same side. The only thing that isn't is the labs, which is actually really interesting because you have to trade these labs or lose. It's really, really a fascinating premise. I don't think that it necessarily has to be a high funds map. It might be to get use out of all four. I talked about this with a couple of people that, to find out how mixed base it is, and it's not really clear. It's certainly an interesting map, and I hope that people check it out. I'll definitely be using this if I ever do a high funds tournament, which I definitely will, heads up. So I think this is really cool. I want to see people play on this. It's a really neat map. It had a couple of flags for me that I wasn't super confident including it in the map jam, but that doesn't mean that Blade of Light hasn't created something really cool, and that I don't want to see more from Blade of Light. This is LeBlanc, who did not create a map, but did enter. Got a lot of interesting stuff under their profile. This 4-player map, which is 4 2-player maps. Or is it 4 4-player maps? Yeah, it's 4 2-player maps. Funny stuff. Might be looking for stuff like this for some stuff in the future, maybe. Some other, mostly like Fog of War stuff. Some pretty cool maps in here. Check out LeBlanc. I'll plug it. Here's Sony the Superior's entry, Memory Mixer. Memory Mixer was really neat because it had these airports that were locked by cruisers. Not a common theme, but maybe not so locked, because by the time that you would capture this airport, you could probably afford to build like an artillery and try to contest the cruiser, and it can't really go anywhere. But, you know, that's a neat idea. Anything else here? It's a pretty regular mixed base map outside of that. Definitely something that I would appreciate for later mixed base opens. I hope that this gets categorized and rated. I suppose it's because it's not published yet. Here's Raider El Caro Man's entry, Hug It Out. So, pretty crowded but interesting mixed base stuff going on the insides, but then you have these two pipes with competing factories next to each other. The interesting thing here is that these factories will never really have an impact on the inside realm here. These are just some sort of way to produce income. So you have like this war for basically just this territory. You might be able to, if you can park something on top of your opponent's factory inside of these pipes, then you can get that income. And I mean, maybe you could build like it's possible that you could build like a rocket or something that might be able to take a pot shot at something eventually, but it seems pretty unlikely. It's sort of funny to have this mini game incorporated. I thought this was really neat. Once again, I got a lot of really cool suggestions and submissions for these Map Jam maps, so the competition was pretty fierce. Here's a map by Uncle Gubsy, Misty. This was an S-rank map that was in the Fog of War League at one point in time. So here's a map from Uncle Gubsy, who will be producing a Map Jam map, hopefully within the next 7 days, that we'll take a look at. Fridge Tourist submitted Aliens. Sorry, Fridge Tourist, but I don't think that this is a mixed base map. This is also not a symmetrical map, but it is a almost symmetrical map. I'm really fascinated by this sort of thing. Stuff that isn't quite symmetrical, but has symmetrical ideas, like, like, there's not going to be a whole lot of units passing through these mountains, and so this seed's more or less the same. This arrangement is very similar on both sides for the bases, and both HQs are relatively protected. This is really, really close in terms of how symmetrical they are, but not exactly. So I do think that this is really cool, but unfortunately, it's not a mixed base map. I do need the mixed base open maps to be mixed base. Still, shout out to Fridge Tourist. Thank you for submitting something. This is neat. I hope that you keep playing around with ideas like this. It's really cool. Here was Wikito's submission, Ice Palace Insurrection. Wikito is always there in the maps channel, making some helpful suggestions, which I really appreciate. But the map, I think, is maybe too conventional. It starts with just 4 bases owned, and then it goes to 6. I think this was done for like first turn advantage reasons. I know that Wikito has talked about the first turn advantage being really difficult to manage in mixed base, which I definitely appreciate. And this was maybe trying to alleviate that issue to some degree. So at least playing around with some new ideas. This is maybe something else that I'll use for a later tournament. I do like this map generally. It's just, not quite sticking its neck out enough. Insert joke here. The map is called Mixed Mace. Had these 4 bases that were basically surrounded by impassable terrain for vehicles, trying to filter them into one side. Has this neat FTA counter city up here that is kind of the opposite direction that you would like to move in. Generally, you'd want to go inside. These HQs are really, really safe, but still neat idea of really, really choky inside. It's a neat map. Hope you keep making maps. Insert joke here. Do appreciate your Mixed Space Open Map Jam submission. Here is Zacnate's Nell Sandwich. So it's two sides that are very, very separated by these pipes and rivers. Only way across is these 4 tiles, these bridges. I thought that this was going to be too obviously a base trade. I think it makes a lot of sense for both Blue Moon and Orange Star sides to go on the inside. Maybe not now that I see. Maybe it's just an HQ rush. But I thought there would be one of the two for sure. I didn't realize that these bases maybe ought to be. I don't know, because then it's weird. Yeah, it'll probably just be an HQ rush for the two factories on one side to go for the HQ of the opposing army in the center. It's too hard to switch from one front to the other. Still, do appreciate Zacnate a whole lot. Zacnate was the only reason that we got as many entrants as we did. Without Zacnate's help, I do not think that the level of excitement that we have now would be possible. And once again, I'm really excited about all of the various submissions that we got. I'm looking forward to how the map jam participants that were selected can improve their map in the next 7 days before they start playing against one another in the map jam. Last submission, or last applicant was Fika Monster, who did not have a mixed space map to submit, but they did submit a few maps that they had created. I wanted to show one of those off. This was Fika's first map, aptly titled. I thought it was cool because it had a really interesting symmetry, really interesting pattern. It looks neat artistically. Maybe not a whole lot of strategic depth here, but it's a neat looking map, and I do really appreciate Fika Monster for submitting an application at all. So you get a shout out. That's nice. That's it. That's all the submissions that I had. That's all the content that I have lined up. We'll have those 5 winners competing in the map jam. Again, it is Steve / Uncle Gubsy, Lost and Found, Elise, Starflash 250, and Rush FDK. Congratulations to you 5. I'll see you in the Discord, or I think I'll try to start like a group chat so that you guys can converse amongst yourselves, trying to get testing done, trying to get suggestions, and trying to make all of the maps as cool and as strong as possible. And yeah, let's get jamming. Good luck.